Hey everyone, thanks for coming to check out this episode of Defining Success featuring Pete Turner. I just wanted to share some sad news that Pete and I lost somebody who was very important to us soon after recording this episode. Preston Degginger played an instrumental part in building the foundation of Illegal Pete's and subsequently building the culture that is Illegal Pete's. He's mentioned in our conversation. So I wanted to take this moment and dedicate this episode to Preston and just say, Preston, we love you, we miss you. Rest in peace, brother. Sending you so much love. And to those listening who knew Preston, I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I know he would have. Pete, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Marion.
Good.
Can I call you Marion today?
Yeah. We're good. We're good that way.
Okay. I mean, if it happens, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
Cool.
So
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm extremely excited to be part of this and to see you and to see yet again another really cool thing that you're doing. So excited.
Thanks.
I'm humbled to be a part of it. So thank you.
Oh man, it's so fun and it's so cool. And when I was like thinking about doing this and thinking about who to, invite and hopefully, they'd entertain the idea of doing it. Obviously you were like top of the list because I wasn't joking. You were like the coolest. And I want to let everyone know quickly how we met. Basically I'm from New York, but I have been living in Colorado. I left for a little while to go to culinary school. And when that was finished, I went back to Colorado and basically was looking for a job. And a mutual friend of ours introduced us. There's this guy, Pete. He has this idea. He's going to open a restaurant. And we met. And I was like, as you'll see in this interview, there's no way you can say no to Pete. I was like, this dude is so cool. He had this great idea that you're going to hear all about. And he's so passionate and so curious and also just so funny and fun to hang out with that, of course, I said yes. And so the journey began. And now here we are. I was only involved for a minute. And suddenly he's got 14 locations, 13 in Colorado, 1 in Tucson, yeah, right? Arizona. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing, Pete. I can't believe of course I can believe it. But talk about success. Yeah. We're going to get into it. I figure, can I read your bio quickly? And then we'll just get going?
Yep.
All right. And
are you going to read it?
For the listeners,
are you going to read it?
I'm going to read it. Yes, I am. I'm going to read this exactly as he wrote it because it's just, for those of you listening who know Pete, yeah. Okay. My name is Pete Turner, 54 years old, married to Tara with 2 daughters, Avery, 11, and Emerson, 9. I was born and raised in Littleton, Colorado, south of Denver. I attended school in Boulder, Colorado at the University of Colorado, graduated in 1993 with a degree in English Lit. I opened Illegal Pete's 2 years later in August of 1995 with the help of my dad, Pete, who was my original partner. Pete was terminally ill with cancer and passed away 2 years into Illegal Pete's and was able to see us gain traction and the start of our success right before he passed away in August of 1997, which made letting go a little bit easier for him. I'm proud to say that Illegal Pete's has grown to 13 restaurants in Colorado and 1 restaurant in Tucson, Arizona, and look forward to our next 30 years. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. So
that's a bio, right?
It's awesome. It's the my name is Pete part that just cracks me up. It's so good. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for being here. And I would just love to hear, Pete, if, it's hard for me not to just start with how'd you come up with the idea for Illegal Pete's and where'd you get the passion? But I also feel like it would be a great place to start with how did you go from high school to college to opening a business so quickly? What inspired that?
Yeah. So it is a great question, right? So born and raised in Littleton, as I said. My mom, so I guess the restaurant part, and everybody asked this because I was an English major at CU.
Yeah.
And back then, I was kind of an English major by default. Back then, it was kind of cheaper to go to college, right? Like it's not like I absolutely, I guess, commiserate or feel bad for young kids coming up right now for a lot of different reasons, but college and debt and all that, it's really difficult. But back when I was a kid, it was like $1,200 a semester, which is not an insignificant amount of money, but I went to see you and you kind of like, you were able to sort of do it and you know, not have a total direction. So I was an English major sort of by default because I loved reading, right? And when it came time to pick a major, I'm like, okay, what do I have the most credits in? And I enjoyed it, right? So I'm not going to say that wasn't it, but you know, growing up when I was junior high in high school and then into college, my mom was a partner in a restaurant in Littleton. It was an Asian restaurant, Mongolian barbecue restaurant. So I'd worked in that in high school and then in college, and really enjoyed the business. Right, I enjoyed the social part of the business, and enjoyed connecting with people and kind of making people happy in that way. I think it's a neat job that we do in our business. Right, it's, you know, as we have known all along, but everybody learned during COVID, it's essential work, right? Like,
right.
You're nourishing people, you're providing, you know, hospitality and a place to gather. And so I always thought that doing a restaurant or bar would be something that I would like to do. And when I was at college, there's a buddy of mine, Pete Vaughn from Belvedere Island in Mill Valley in San Francisco. And I would go out and visit, and he would talk about that type of, like, the mission style burrito, which is kind of Chipotle or the big, but that had been in San Francisco forever, right?
Right.
So he'd talk about that type of food, and I go out and visit. And there's a crew of guys from the Bay Area that I hung out with, because a lot of people, like, you know, you came from New York, but Boulder's a place that brings a lot of people from the coast. So I'd go out and visit. I was like, man, that is absolutely right. Like, if we had this type of food on the hill where, you know, kind of University Hill, that I would eat that all the time. And at the time, you know, you had your typical kind of college pizza, gyros, sandwiches. But I thought when I was in college, I thought it was an opportunity to provide good hospitality and make it really fun with this particular type of food that I thought I would personally eat multiple times a week. So that was kind of the opportunity. And the opportunity was also, again, making it, you know, I've touched on hospitality a couple of times, but just making it really fun. Because when I went to school there, like, it really felt like when you'd go to get a slice of pizza or whatever, that they were doing you a favor, which is the opposite of hospitality. And I hated that.
Right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just want to, like, it's cool for me to hear that, and sorry to interrupt, just like, I want to capture that like, you grew up working in restaurants, and even then you knew that how special it was. It sounds like it wasn't like you enjoyed it. Is that true? Like, you actually enjoyed working?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Did you work in front of the house, or were you in the back, or all of it wherever you needed you?
Like, I made, you know, I was reflecting on Asian restaurants, so I made thousands of egg rolls. Like, so I'm like, oh, that's like a little burrito. Like, so anyway, I'm like, but like, yeah, I did everything. I washed dishes, like, which I totally enjoy. And that's in fact like one of the really fun parts for me still. And we'll get into it, but for our 30th anniversary, which was this August 15th, I got back into the restaurants in January. I went through our manager and training program just to see, are we still the business that's set out to create, you know, through 30 years and through COVID. And then was a GM of one of our restaurants from February to basically through May. But it was cool. So I was back, and then like kind of deep diving the whole thing. And I'm just saying that because I did everything when I was a kid, and I'm going back to do everything, and it still feels the same. Like, you know, just even getting in and washing dishes. And you and I were laughing about, and we'll get into opening Pete's and how you would help me that first night when we were about to open the next day and doing dishes. An incident, but yeah, it's awesome. I loved it. Like, and I still do. And so that's like, so yeah, so I was like, man, if we could do this type of food, on the hill, and I knew exactly where we wanted to be because location, 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 and then make it really, really fun. Because, I wasn't a business major. And again,
Right.
I'm still kind of learning. I think I'm very fundamentally pretty sound in business, but I don't have the polish, I guess, as you could tell by my bio. But, I am Pete Turner. I guess right. And an English major, you'd think I'd have more flourish in there.
There, you just pulled out flourish. That's good. We're good. It's all even now.
Yeah. But I loved it. I loved it then. So
yeah,
that was it. And then my father, my freshman year, my first semester at CU, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so that was the fall of 89. And that was my first semester at CU, and that really shook me. But he fought. He was in really good shape. He was 49 when he was diagnosed, which was interesting. That was 2020 was hard. I'm going to throw in a bunch of stuff, and you can.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we're good.
It is needed, but that was like this weird. So 2020 was going to be a big year for me anyway. That's when I turned 49. That was the 25th anniversary of Legal Pete's. But 49 was this sort of mortality thing when my dad was diagnosed with cancer. So and he passed away at 97. So he fought for 8 years, which is incredible. He went through multiple rounds of chemotherapy, bone marrow transplant, radiation, fought. And actually what ended up killing him was secondary acute leukemia that was brought on by all the treatment, which is such a cruel thing. But that was in 97. But through that all, my dad was able to sort of be there and support. And what's important, and, you and I were talking about this, and I guess I didn't realize this as concretely as when you and I were discussing the reality, but through that, and I'll kind of maybe get into my childhood a little bit. I was the youngest of 4. My sisters were all kind of off and gone. And when I was in high school, my parents were going through a really hard time. My dad I think he was sick with cancer, but didn't know it, going through kind of midlife crisis sort of stuff, really you could see pain in his eyes. And my mom, again, it was a very...
You're saying this just quickly. I want to understand. You're saying this reflecting on it, or you knew this as a kid? You could see it.
No, I'm reflecting back on some of this stuff.
Right.
I'm just saying. So when I was a kid, and my parents had sort of stopped parenting, right? They were just dealing with their own shit. I was just, but which was cool when I'm 16, 17, 18. I could do I'm out. Which is funny too, code word for Spanish project. That was my, we're going to go out with my friends until 2:30 in the morning on a Tuesday. Oh, we're doing a Spanish project, and I could do anything, which is funny. But so that was cool, but a little weird, right? Looking back, you're kind of man, you want direction, right? You want guidance, and you want, care and input from people that your parents, right? But they were doing no complaint. They're dealing with their own stuff, right? But I just had this free reign, which, is okay. And I had to figure things out a lot by myself, which probably is cooking, right? I'd making meals and no family dinner. I'm just probably why I love soup. It's so easy to open a can of soup, but but where I'm going with this is through cancer and through, sort of my dad's journey through that, and just reflecting back on his life, right? So he was my original partner. His Illegal Pete's is sort of a reflective of, people ask what it is. And it's really, it's a testament to sort of his attitude that I sort of grew up admiring, which is, questioning arbitrary rule, and I wrote that actually, man, I had a different kind of bio that I wrote to my dad. I should just submitted that, but he was a student of history, he was a history major at Stanford, and I never really understood why would you study history, but that's all I'm doing now. When I'm thinking about business, what do people do, and it's so informative, right? Yes. Obviously, I mean it's history doesn't repeat, human nature does, right? So it's who we are. But anyway, so I grew up hearing all these stories of my dad, just doing kind of wild stuff. He was a really fun guy, but along with that, I think was, alcohol, right? So like I would hear all these stories, and that was kind of cool. It was like, oh, like breaking rules, or like, but also the social part of him, like he grew up in, this is important. It's really important because it informs who I am. He grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is a small town, but in his town, like they were kind of like, they had the mortuary. They were like kind of big shit, like society, right? Like, and they actually, this is really cool. They, and I don't know if we ever talked about this, but they, my great grandfather, they had this, like carriage house behind the mortuary in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, that he allowed, this artist, Grant Wood, who painted American Gothic, Man, the Woman, the Pitchfork. So
yeah,
Grant was like a teacher in school in Cedar Rapids. My great grandfather, John B. Turner, said, "Hey, Grant, why don't you quit teaching and move into this and paint?" Right, which he did. He moved in there into the 5 Turner Alley with his mom and his sister, right, and that's where he painted American Gothic and a bunch of things. He actually painted, it's funny, Woman with the Plant. I'm looking at the snake plant behind you, but a really famous painting is this woman with the snake plant. It's awesome. But
that's cool.
So that's cool. So like they had this kind of cachet, I guess, and they were actually, pretty cool people, right? And but along with that, like the generations, like they're kind of like, it becomes like, oh, you're kind of like hot shit, like society stuff. Like, and so my dad, and this is Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So like country club, which whatever. Right. And then like go to Stanford and like these things, like, and he just hated that. Like I think probably just his upbringing and living that, like so he would kind of question convention. Right. And he and so I saw him growing up, part of it is he was so fun. Right. Like, and he would do, like, I'd hear my father's friends tell me these stories, like, in Stanford, like putting a car in a pool, like, which is probably really dangerous. Oh, I know it's really dangerous, but it sounds really fun.
Probably.
Could be dangerous. All these stories. So that was kind of inspired me when I was a kid. But
right, of course. And then,
but also like going, we go back to this small town in Nebraska, called Henley, Nebraska, where they go bird hunting, and he's just, and that's a town of 36 people. And I still have the house that he and a buddy bought for $500 in the late 70s. And I go back there, but he would just like these people, like his friends in Nebraska, like maybe 20 years younger, but just, he was so rad. He just like was cool with everybody. Like it was awesome. There was no like convention. And so it's kind of that attitude of like, and that was the Illegal Pete's, like just, question stupid conventions, rules, but it's kind of goofy too. I was 23 years old. So like, but that's it. I mean, it's like, yeah, like stupid rules meant to be broken, but just really the spirit. But in Mara, I'm going to get there. And you and I were talking about it, but really, so that was kind of the inspiration. But what really allowed me to do Pete's, and actually, because I was sort of, I always loved it and I thought that would be a cool thing to do, but I was still a little lost, right? But what happened is my dad, through his cancer, quit drinking, right? And we talked about this, and he really got grounded and found peace through all this pain and suffering. Like, I mean, I just can't even believe it, right? Like, so he did an experimental bone marrow transplant where they took his bone marrow out and then and bombed his body with chemicals, right, to kill the cancer, and then put his bone marrow back in. Well, that's because you have no bone marrow, you have no ability. Your immune system's gone. So you have so it's in a totally isolated environment. And when you go visit, it would push all the air out, and you have to wear it. I mean, it's terrible. And he's supposed to be in there for 30 days. He's in there for 72. Like, so he went through hell. Like, he fought. And through this, like, and we didn't all, like, his friends are like, why did he quit drinking? Because it was really fun, right? Like, but everybody's, like, but you don't see the other part, right? Like, but anyway, he did, and I was kind of questioning it too. But really what happened is he just really found peace and, like, clarity and just, I mean, peace, I guess, in connection to people, right? That, I think addicts don't, that's sort of a indication or it's sort of a guard up to the world, I guess. But had he not done it, and again, reflecting, catching up with you, Marion, you said, how did you do it? And I guess that's the question that led this. I'm like, I wouldn't have done it had my dad not, through cancer, gotten sober and like said, hey, you've talked about this, and I'd see, like, let's, I'm willing to basically co-sign and on Dad, like, do you want to do it? Like, I believe in you. And so had that not happened, I would be probably dead, actually, like, or not dead. I mean, that's a little dramatic, but
well, I hear what you're saying, though. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so there's this little window of time, this sliver of time, like, again, reflecting back, like, cool childhood. And then, a little bit later, my sort of middle school, high school, my parents were kind of like doing their thing. The other kids are gone, kind of like loose and trying to figure it out, right? Like success, like no one really guided me. Like,
right.
And again, for this, reflecting back when I was a kid, like, early, young kid, I'm like, I always thought like Jacques Cousteau was cool, right? Oceanography. I'm like, I'll be an oceanographer. Oh, you can do that, But then we stopped talking about that, right? It's like, what do you want to be? Like, that wasn't a conversation. Or have you thought about school? It wasn't even a conversation. Like, and I'm not blaming anyone. It's just the reality, right? And so, but then I'm kind of like coming up with ideas, and finally, like, I think, and actually, let me also say, my mom was supportive too in her way. So I don't want to.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Disparage that. But
yeah,
had, my dad, like, again, like was able to basically get the seriousness, and maybe a person myself that was kind of like, maybe wouldn't have elicited a bunch of trust at that point, but he was able to, like, so this really finite period of time, and it's so interesting, like, reflecting on how he had sort of influenced the spirit, the name, I guess, and just even being in business. But like, it was not only just the fun, like, questioning,
right,
and just the sort of the spirit, but really that, finding ground and peace and clarity, which can still be really countercultural, or really push things to, like, okay, now that I know what my values are, like, why? Let's really think about what is motivating you here. And that is pretty neat. So anyway, point is, like, so my dad's kind of like, he found this peace through his cancer, thank God. Right.
Right.
And that he was then got behind me, and, he was never, at, I mean, he would come visit Pete's, but you were there. Like,
yeah,
he was sick, man. So he was like, there'd be periods where he'd be kind of in remission, but not very long. And so he was my sort of moral support, and I'd talk to him all the time and try to see him as much as I can. And his work ethic and his, I don't know, it inspired me. Right. So he took a chance on me. And that's how, like, but Mary, you asked, like, at 23, I'm like, fuck, do I know what I'm doing? Like, I'd only worked, I'd worked at a couple of restaurants, like, so I'd seen the whole thing at my mom's restaurant, but
right,
made a whole lot of mistakes. And you, and again, listeners or whatever, but it was super fun. Yeah, meeting you, that was really helpful and cool. And it's again, I want to say thanks. Like, it's funny, you're doing this, and you're doing your business, and you're sort of, your path has been really, really interesting, and it's so cool to see what you did with, the spinning and Peloton. I remember you taking me to a spin class at 24 Hour Fitness or whatever it was called.
Oh my God.
Like, whoa, this is so hard. I'm like, all right,
that's a
done.
memory. But you know what's really, sorry, thanks for saying that. And yes, it's I can't believe it's been 30 years, but I just want to before we move on, I just want to capture something really cool that I hadn't thought about before, which is like all of your childhood, right? And like your dad was basically kind of like a larger than life character. Yeah. And like he was like this rock star, kind of cowboy rock star. And that like really made such an impression on you and made you so much the person you are. But it wasn't until he got sober that enabled you to take action in your life that led you to where you are now. So it's such an incredible sort of what's the word I'm looking for, but such an incredible observation that you're making here, which is like, I am who I am because of him, but I didn't take the action that got me my life. Because you said I'd be dead if you hadn't done that, which I know we joke about it, but I get what you're saying. Like, you wouldn't be who you are. You wouldn't have, developed the life you've developed if it hadn't been for that moment in his life when he got sober and was able to reflect and find peace and calmness. It's so interesting to me to think about how you are the person you are because of all the years leading up to that, but you're even more so the person you are because of that. Like, it ignited a different version, kind of, right? It's 100%. Really cool. Amazing to think about.
And again, it's so neat. And in fact, I've been, so just even reflecting through that, like, and I think, and Mary, like, our, catching up and talking about this, getting ready for it, that was an aha moment for me. Like, I think I've reflected on that, but not really put it in such powerful context or powerful framing, I guess, because that's exactly right. And it's kind of like, whoa, because I remember when he was first getting sober and he was apologizing for all these things, right? Like, because that's part of, and he, again, AA, firm believer, but he was just like, I would then be getting in trouble when I was in high school and college even, because I kind of thought that's what you did or that's what he did. Like, I don't know, man. It's kind of goofy, but he's like apologizing for these things that, he sort of experiences that he'd sort of put me in, like back in Nebraska, that I thought were just awesome because I was like 14 or 15, like just really stupid, like going 120 miles an hour on a motorcycle at 2 a.m. with, like, after drinking beers, like with his friend, which is not, but for a 14-year-old, it's the coolest thing ever, but not cool at all. Like, it's super dangerous. And I'm like, and I'm sorry to be saying these things, but I'm like, that was awesome though. Right. It's like, man, you could have died, like, so these things, like, and so again, but it's, you can sort of, as the young person in me can sort of like, say that that's romantic or something, but really then, it's not when you get to it and you say, it informs and helps potentially the growth. We can't go back and what do you learn from it? And I guess I'm saying this because I was reflecting with a buddy of mine recently, and we've got another friend who's sort of going through similar things in her life. And I was like, it's kind of a very similar relationship with her dad, even just personally, but also as a representation of aspiration or this larger than life. And I don't think he never got to that point. He's gone now, but it's like, so you kind of like idolize this part, but actually the really important part is having gone through that and realizing, man, that actually was not great. And I could have really hurt a lot of people. And now, I'm going to try to make amends as much as possible.
Yeah.
So.
And, also, I wonder if, like, sorry, just quickly, I wonder if, like, even subconsciously, yes, as a kid, it was like, this is so cool. And, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, motorcycle, 14, all that. Like, I wonder if subconsciously you felt such a huge, yes, consciously, but also subconsciously in that moment, you felt like this weight lifted off your shoulders when your dad started to essentially make amends. It probably allowed you to accept that, maybe that stuff wasn't that great. Like, I wonder if subconsciously you were like struggling with that a little bit, especially father-son relationship. You don't want to look at your dad as somebody who would put you in harm's way. So you kind of like put that off. But then when he says, hey, dude, son, not dude, I'm, sorry, or however he put it, I don't want to dumb it down. But that must have felt in some way like a huge relief, like you could let go of that. I'm wondering if there was something underlying tension within you, confusion, really.
Probably, and this was, let's say, 18, 19, 20 when he was going through that, right? And so, like, I was just trying to figure the world out, but so, like, I didn't understand
what a gift.
As much, but but it was like, so
what a gift,
right? Like, so anyway, like, that's how, and I was just like, and just knowing, that was it, just him believing in me, right?
That's it.
And again, it was a 600 square foot restaurant. You helped open it, 8 seats, like the tiniest little thing, like, the money that opened it, like, it's such a small amount when I look back. I'm like, but at the time, it was all the money in the world to me.
Do you remember how much it was?
$150,000.
To open a restaurant.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. But you remember, I mean, that summer was crazy. Like, so you were helping. That was fun, man. You and I probably met in June. We opened in August or May, maybe. And
it was the best.
That was fun. Like, but I was so stressed out. But like, man, there's no way I would have ever even been there. Like, he honestly, like, I couldn't have gotten that. So like, co-signing, basically getting the loan or getting the money to do it. And then just him believing, like, that's it, Mary. You asked me, like, what is it? And that's it. And then just maybe trusting that I would do whatever it takes to, work hard to figure it out and just, that's it. Right. And so like, but that was a kind of a leap of faith, honestly. And that was him, again, had he not found peace and clarity, like, I just wouldn't have done it. And so that's it. Like, and I look back, I'm like, what the hell? Like, yeah, because I'd never done anything like that. I mean, it was pretty wild. But again, like, small scale, so maybe manageable, right? And that location, went after hard, right? Because I know, location. So,
we should tell people what that location was like.
It was right on the middle. It's like a half block up from the University of Colorado. It's on a place called The Hill, because it's a hill above, not a steep hill, but right above the University of Colorado. And it was this, when I went to school, it was this place called the Boulder Bistro. And this guy, Sean, ran it, and it was a great late night spot. You go get these bistro tacos, which are, but he was a jerk, right? And then he got some ill health, and so there's an opportunity to take over his lease. And I just got after it, right? So that was kind of it. And then, again, the whole point of, just opening this particular type of food, I mean, it was good. Thank you for your help. But like, we made it was, man, mistakes all over the place, but it was fun, right? We hired really great, really fun people. Like, you were there, Preston, I still have like the first, man, I should have brought it. I'll send it to you. Like the first or second, schedule written on this. And like, there's like 8 of us. Preston's best man at my wedding. Like, I'm still friends with all of them. And Dan Paris, I don't know, Mara, if you remember him, but
yes, of course.
Yeah. So like, it was really special, right? And Jay,
I have this. This isn't the original though.
That's awesome.
But this is later.
Turn it backwards. So those, and open it up. So those paintings, that's the second restaurant after my dad died. I did a series of paintings to represent my dad. Not a whole lot of people know it, but every restaurant since Pearl Street, which is second, 1998, has been a series of these Lotteria paintings with 3/31/40. It's my dad's birthday, right? And this was meant to represent like that, the comfy chair on the left is just this peace and serenity that he was in, this boxer, the fighter, like he fought, plus also Simon and Garfunkel, first concert I ever went to, Folsom Field, Simon and Garfunkel in 5th grade, the boxer, great, and then music, right? So this old radio, so that it meant to represent my dad. That's a tribute to my dad, right? And that has gone on
so beautiful
at each of our restaurants.
And but this is the menu, and then just so everyone can see, this is the options inside. I mean, this is beautiful, Pete.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for having that. But like, so like, we did it though, right? We did it, like, we did it, and that was it. Like, I remember, the first month or whatever, I was trying to like, what I didn't know is what you need to be like to be the owner or the boss of a business. So I like was wearing like a collared shirt for like 30 days, and I'm like, screw this, all right, I'm wearing t-shirts. I was like trying to, like, Preston's probably like, what are you doing, man? You look stupid. Not saying collared shirt, like, whatever, like, but anyway. but it was
sorry,
but it was so much fun.
I remember that. But you were the boss.
But it was so much fun.
And
we made tons of mistakes, and it was just so much fun. Like, and that was it. Like, that was the idea. Like, fun music.
I almost sliced your hand off. No big deal.
And try to have like, good food. And we've just grown over the years by listening to our guests, right? Expanding the menu, expanding to when we moved down to Denver. Second restaurant we had a bar, which was just it was just an opportunity, and that then expanded to with our third location in downtown Denver, which was really scary, but proud of me to go home. Right, I was really nervous but excited. But we started doing like a raised platform dining, but also that became a stage, and that's when we started doing a lot of music.
Okay, so hold on, because this is major. So before we get into that, sorry again to interrupt. I just want to, because I think this is so important. Like, so when you opened your first location, it was basically inspired by your dad believing in you, you loving mission style burritos, thinking they're great, and like then also just like wanting to serve this cool community, right? Hospitality, right. And this. You really had as a kid, as a younger person, teenager, you loved restaurants like this. So you were excited about the idea of opening a restaurant. But like the reason why I'm holding us there for a moment is because it doesn't sound like you had like a business plan. Like, so you had just an idea, you had somebody who believed in you, and you had a lot of passion. And you had an idea that was coupled with a great location, which is part of the idea, right? It's kind of works together. But the reason why I wanted to just not roll over this is because you obviously built it into a much bigger business. When you opened that first location, were you like thinking about that? I know you didn't have a business plan, but were you thinking in the back of your head or your mind, like, oh, I'm going to have lots of locations one day? Like, or were you just so in the moment? It was like, let's just make this work.
I did think that I would have more locations than one. I had hoped, but it wasn't. Okay. Again, you brought up the business plan. I kind of laughed because this guy I talked about, Peter Vaughn in Mill Valley, he was originally going to be my partner. Yet another Pete, like he was going to do it with me.
Funny.
And he, like in 2000, I can't remember the year, but like 15 years into it, he sent me back this like 2 sheets of like notebook paper that it was basically my business plan. And he's like, and I'm sure he got that. He's like, nope, I'm out. But like, it's so funny. That's my business plan. I'll send that to you. It was so ridiculous.
I'd love to see that.
76 burritos times like, I look at it now, I'm like, oh my God, I don't blame him. But I think that's so important though. I think that's right. It is. I think it's so important because it's like, at least I find, you mentioned today's youth, and I just feel like there's this idea that you have to go to business school, you have to have a business plan, you have to like, and really the beauty of all of this is that you just need the idea and passion and somebody to believe in you, or at least one of those 3 things. And then the rest, it's just, it's not, there isn't like it's just so great to hear you say this because it's, a reminder that there isn't like a one size fits all to opening a business. It just isn't. All. I do think, and I will say like, business school, and I've gone back to, I've been asked to like help, with the CU business school, or like, I do think that's very helpful, but absolutely not. Like, and in fact, like in what I would tell people, even when I was really young, and other people that would, early on in Pete's, it's just like read, educate, like constantly. So I was constantly trying to like read and just learn, right? And I will say that in today's world, that's so much easier, right? And then internet, let's say AI, whatever, but like podcasts, there's a freaking wealth of like, this is going to be so informative to, I mean, maybe not me, but your podcast is going to be so informative to people. That's such an astute point. Like, it's done any number of ways. And I would say business school gives you a lot of tools in a big toolbox, right? But that's absolutely not necessary. I mean, it's not like critical. Like it's not, you can do it in other ways. So and I would, again, so I will say podcasts, and that's why I'm so excited for you to do a podcast because, the subject you're doing, and you're very thoughtful person and curious as well. So thank you. But it's so educational, right? And it's like, it blows my mind how much education there is that's basically free, right? Like, like even like health education, right? I listen to Huberman Pod, like he's like,
totally.
His thing is just like, I'm getting as much of this out there for free so people can access it. I mean, it's just mind blowing how much information is out there, and listening to different business podcasts, it feels like an MBA. Like,
yes.
I know that, but heard, I think business school is fantastic and I think it's great, but yeah, you absolutely don't have to do it. I certainly didn't do it.
Yeah.
Probably one of the, I look back, I'm like, man, I can't believe we made it. Like, still kind of like some of the mistakes we made, but, and I'm still learning. Like, that's the other thing.
Well, okay. So we get back to you talking.
Yeah.
All right. So now, okay. I'm sorry. I just wanted to before we went into you opening more locations. So it was something you were kind of thinking about.
Yeah, I thought we could.
Here we go. Okay. So you start expanding.
And basically, yes. And listening to our guest, right?
Right.
Expand the menu when we have a bigger kitchen, right? So that goes down to, so mission dish. So my mom's family, my dad's Iowa, my mom's Santa Barbara in Southern California, right? And so we'd visit Mission Bay in San Diego for family reunions in the summer. And fish tacos, taquitos, quesadillas. So that's another mission, like the mission in San Francisco and then the mission Bay. I'm calling it that, Southern California Mexican. So that was the second menu. Mm-hmm. And then that was also, we had a bar, right? And so that's a whole other thing. I'm a huge fan of music. So the bars, it adds a different element for people to actually gather, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think is important, that we wanted people to sort of get to know us in any way possible, not turn and burn. But then, could you bring in entertainment? And which we started doing, I think a little bit of Pearl actually, but then when we went to downtown Denver, we built the restaurant for it. And so that then, and I believe, Marion, that this was all informed also in, reflecting back, I brought up, my dad's family in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And that's why, because ultimately we ended up starting a business or a record label and putting out bands and comedians records. And we, got involved with, we're doing a music festival partner down in Tucson. And that's 2016, 9th year. This year, it's this weekend. I'm going down there on Sunday.
Oh my gosh. Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's called Dusk. And then, work with a really, really talented person in Denver, do this comedy festival that he runs. It's incredible. So we started, Pete's then became a platform to support the community in a much different way. And that's, I think, what, reflecting on success, for you, this conversation. Yeah. Yes. There's financial success, there's, all sorts of things. But I think to me, yes, you need to be financially successful to, continue your business, to grow a business or, to stay in business, obviously. But what is the success? What can you do with your business to influence your communities and support your communities? And that is, again, so thinking about through 30 years, yes, the concept developed, right? So that allowed us to do different things. And I think it was smart because it allowed us to compete with our main competition. It's a key differentiator that I absolutely kind of forgot in the last 3 years post-COVID. So maybe that's a different conversation. We'll get to that because I got too nervous about the human aspect that even was why I got into the business. It can be so much fun. But
I'm so interested to talk to you about this competition and how you deal with that. And we can come back to it, but let's definitely remember to come back to that.
Yeah, let's do. I mean, so basically we, so you listen to your guest, right? That's, I think, probably taught in business school, but that's just intuitive to me. And that's why we stir our burrito, which is kind of goofy. You remember week one or day one at Pete's, hey, can you guys mix up a burrito? So we take the spoon and it's gross and you put it back in the salsa. I'm like, what are we doing? And then we plastic spoons. I'm like, this is wasteful. So we did the whole but that was the guest just asking, right? Okay, this. So we grew that.
And just so people understand, this is because guests were I don't know, I take a bite, I get all guacamole, or I take a bite, I want it all in one bite. So,
Yeah.
pretty
Totally.
genius.
Kind of like, so we're kind of like Chipotle style, like, so service line. So we're counter service with a full bar, which is a little atypical, but it works for us just because we're pretty loose and our guest, is used to us, I guess. And it kind of works, but yeah, exactly that. Like, but yeah, so like, yeah, we grew, moved down to Denver, and we grew about one store every 3 years.
Wow. Did you find was that intentional, or did it just kind of happen to be this?
It happened, and we were also. I was, again, it was really, I would say, a loose business and kind of unprofessional. Like, even like, it was kind of me in QuickBooks until the third restaurant downtown Denver, and I kind of met an accountant that could help me out. We had an accountant in Boulder, but it was kind of a mess. But anyway, so like it got, this is important. It got, and somehow, again, man, I look back, I'm like, I just can't even believe it that we're still in business. But it was really kind of loose, and I made a ton of mistakes. And then we started getting a little bit more buttoned up and professional, which is lucky. We had 5 restaurants in 2005. The Great Recession hit, and but at that point, I just started hooking up with another buddy of mine. This guy David Berenson. I think you might remember. I don't know if you remember.
Sure.
The Daily Bread on Pro Street.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Totally.
So
David, of course I remember the Daily Bread.
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. He was working with Whole Foods, and then he left to do, and he's doing consulting now, but he left to do his own consultancy. So I ran into him, and he helped me sort of like tighten up.
Okay.
COVID hit, or Great Recession hit. Luckily, we had kind of tightened up, and we were becoming more predictable. Like, our numbers were just more of a professional business, thankfully. And then coming out of the Great Recession, that's when I started thinking about it, and we were actually kind of starting to make okay money. That's when I was like, and this is important, like when I think of Pete's journey and what success means to me, it is supporting our communities. It's supporting, how we employ is really, really important to me. And that's when I started thinking about wage benchmarking, because this is an important part of Pete's story. Is we were ahead of, we did this living wage initiative that we started in 2015. We ended, so June of 2015, we started our move from $9 tipped to $15. Remember, there was a fight for $15 in the last like 7 years, but we were doing that in 2015.
Wow.
So we took, and I was like, but that came from like wanting to sort of, now that we were able to think and be predictive about what our financial results would be, I was like, man, I work with a bunch of people that are like good homies of me. So I want to see them sharing that success. Cause I don't think people in our industry need to work 2 to 3 jobs. It's just not sustainable, and they can't be good citizens, which is a weird, kind of lame thing, or not lame. It's a weird thing. It's just, I think I was influenced by my dad for that. Like, just everybody counts, right? Like, so can you,
I think it's one of the best, sorry to interrupt, but I just want to say, like, I always say, I think it's one of the best gifts of being an entrepreneur is being able to employ people and do it in a way that's meaningful. And it's incredible. It's incredible. It's like an honor. It's great to hear you talking about this. Yeah.
So we did this in 2012. I like worked with this HR company that we kind of helped. We were working with at that point to help us do benefits and such. I'm like, hey, can you help us with the wage benchmarking? So that's what it was. It started with the wage benchmarking to see, we wanted to be sort of the leaders, right? And then that went to like deep, again, man, education, deep, like, oh man, this is really an opportunity. Or, it's kind of screwed up in this country. Like, whatever, problems are just opportunities and workloads. But I'm like, man, people, like, there is, a couple things came out of it. I realized that we employ 1 in 10 people in America. It's a big deal. So can you make an impact? I don't know. It's changed a little bit, but actually it was headed in 2015. It was headed towards 1 in 9. And I was doing a ton of research around 2015 and actually gave a speech in Miami for the Fast Casual conference in 2015 about this wage initiative. So it went from like, okay, benchmarking to, oh man, there's like this concept of living wage. And back then, the MIT calculator was like the only thing. But there's a lot of, there's tons out there now, which is great. But like back then, it was really hard, and we had to define what even a living wage meant. So we were talking this living wage initiative that we started in 2015. So we went from $9 base tipped wage to 15 tipped wage. So 15 plus tips, but in the space
that's a leap.
In it was a lot, man. So 3 raises, started June of 2015 and ended January 2019. Sorry. So it was a big, and I knew we were taking, and we didn't really raise our prices to accommodate that. So it was taking a big hit on the expense line, but my hypothesis is that our top line would grow, and you get people to stick around, and then that would affect a more engaged workforce would flow down to the expense lines. And so that was kind of the hypothesis, and it did sort of, it was working out, and COVID hit. But I guess my point is like that to me is success in business too. So we're able to, and we're employing now 400 plus people. And back then it would have been X amount, but at that time we were investing. And again, I'm 75% of Pete's, and I've got just limited shareholders, and I'm probably like, listen, you son of a bitch, because it's like $2 million back then. We were investing in our people, but to me it was investment, right? And I thought it was, going to happen anyway, right? Like just because it felt like a lot of this stuff was unsustainable, like to have to work multiple jobs, and so COVID sort of changed everything, right, and allowed that to really speed up. But that was a really important part of. That was a really important time in my business, and I guess when we're talking about success is can you influence because I'm saying this because we were influential in the vote in Colorado to raise minimum wage, and from that we were speaking at the Capitol, and the mayor of Denver, Mayor Hancock at the time, name dropped Illegal Pete's, like Illegal Pete's is doing it. So like, for better or worse, I mean, a lot of people don't like me in the industry because I was pushing that, and it's as a business person, it's something you got to figure out. And but can you as a business influence, your communities, and even like, laws, right? Like, so that's really, and which to me, and from a labor point of view, right? Like FMLI, paid time off, family, like, so after the minimum wage, we rolled that into opening to creating this organization called Good Business Colorado, which we fought for FMLI and Secure Savings, which is basically a state-run IRA, 401k or IRA. That anyway, so I was on the board to kind of study that, but like you can make a whole lot of impact, right? And so that's the neat part. So that's success to me too, right? But that.
No, but what I want to ask you quickly is like, because this is still pre-COVID, and this is all incredible, Pete. But like, I hear all this, and I'm like, okay, well, who's running the business while you're doing this? Like, do you have? At this point, are you calling yourself CEO? Were you structured like that yet?
I was president at that point, and I now call myself CEO, but like I never really knew business structure. So
So did you have somebody?
Okay, in 2015, we hired our first COO. So it was, before that, it was me, kind of CFO, controller, and some accounting folks, like a payroll. And then just some operators, right? Like, I mean, I just hear this and I'm like,
another piece here is like, clearly you trust your team. Like you have a lot of trust. It sounds like, I'm imagining.
Yes.
For you. Yeah. And how we can, obviously, I mean, you know what, this might be more relevant even later because I know, you haven't even gone through COVID yet. And I know that's a whole other story, but like, it is really so incredible for me to hear, Pete, that you were able to make all this impact like, wow, I didn't realize you had done all of this. So sorry to get a little personal here, but fuck yeah. That's so
No, it's
incredible,
cool.
Pete.
It's
It's
cool.
really amazing. Yeah. And,
It's cool.
and what's even more cool is that it was like, this, you grew into it. Like it evolved naturally first you build a business by listening to your customers, but then you make change in your community by listening to your employees and wanting to take care of them. And it doesn't sound like it was like they were like, it doesn't sound like you were answering because people were upset. It sounds like you were wanting to just appease them before it became a problem, maybe. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like some
For sure.
businesses put out like these weird surveys and then hear later that everybody hates them.
No.
It sounds like you were just like in tune and you knew like, I need to take care of these people.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah.
That's accurate, and that's totally fair. And in fact, like if I think back, we did an internal survey, like, and we're, of our key leaders, or maybe everyone, I can't remember, it's in a box somewhere, but even at the point, people were pretty happy. But no, it just felt like the opportunity, right? Like it felt like, and of course, all this is healthcare is imploding around us and everything else, but it just felt like, yeah. Sorry, it also became I think it's inspired, Marion, because I like starting around 2003, and I don't know if that's just me in my age, but I kind of like got really curious about the country and politics and how the world works, right? And I was just kind of like, man, this is, and maybe in tune, maybe that was through the business, like, man, we can make an impact, and it's just sort of coalesced, right? And so having, and maybe understanding, getting a little bit of, professionalism around just the numbers and predictability, like in saying, okay, yeah, how do we invest our money? Do we grow it? But labor's 1/3 of, it's a big line, right? So you can make a huge impact. So yeah, it just was in tune, like it was in my soul. Like I just was doing the study, and like, but that's exactly it. Like doing the study about wage benchmarking, but then through that education, seeing like the issue, which is unsustainable, right? And so that did lead to that. And no one asked for that. No one did. Like, and I'm kind of like, man, this is important, which is interesting. Yeah, it is interesting.
It's really cool. It's super inspiring because I it's one thing to be like, we give a portion of our profits to blah, 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 or to like tape something up on your store window. It's another to actually implement change. Well, and it's really,
that's so important. Okay. And here's the other thing there too. Like there was also like our big competitions, Chipotle or Qdoba, but like they were doing like, they hang their hats on like animal husbandry. And they actually, man, maybe that's where it started too. Cause like we were like in the early 2000s, like looking, I was like, man, not, looking at, the quality, just mostly because of whatever's best for the guest, but the quality of our inputs, right? Our raw goods, right? And so we started working with this, what was it, premium Gold Angus to start, and then Nyman Ranch really early, like just because it tasted better. But the story is so cool, man, that these it's sustainable farming, right? And it sustains these communities of farmers to do it. Like it's just neat, right? And so we started doing that. So that was, man, maybe it all led. I was like learning about that. I'm like, wow, because also that was probably informed by my dad. When I go back to Iowa, it's all farmers, and Nebraska, and I saw Nebraska just get decimated in the 80s and 90s with factory farms and all this stuff. So, but the reason I bring this up, Marion, because you're like, yeah, you can put it on the window or whatever, but like that whole like charity, that actually is a thought. Like charity starts at home. Like, yeah, you can, and that was the whole thing. Like back then, like, okay, yeah, you can take care of your pigs and cows, but what about your people? Like, that's great that you're treating pigs and cows, like, but what about your fucking people, man? Like, really, you can like really take care of your people. Like, you can take care of like animals, great. But if you're fucking people, so that was all, that's so funny. And I haven't really, but that just, that was all part of it. I'm like, man, we can do this right here. Right.
That's awesome, man. Super inspiring. Thanks for sharing all that. It's really cool.
It's fun. And then the other part was like, okay. And then also like your communities, like what can you do to like even just help? Like that was the arts thing, right? Like, okay, let's do music and let's help our friends because we're all big fans. Like, can we help them in their
Well,
career?
yeah, this is like,
And can
you're
we,
like,
yeah, so but it
great
all
grandfather with a barn.
yeah, but it all works, man. So it's kind of like it's inspired by that, right? It's
Yeah.
also kind of good business too. So we were bringing, which is all part of my business plan now. Mary, you asked about business plan, like, can you quantify and really lock down? Okay, this is, let's commit to X amount of investment in our local arts to, that we can draw through our restaurant, which will bring people in. Like, so our communities can kind of count on this investment in which happened very loosely back in the day. But now I'm like, man, I'm like post COVID, like just trying to really quantify all of it and how it all works together. And it's cool, man. I mean, we're smart people, like, and that's the cool thing about America and entrepreneurship is, yeah, you can go do it. But you can also, like, depending on your values, I mean, you need to make money, but man, you can really make a lot of impact, right?
Yeah, it's cool because like I'm hearing that you talk, it's making me feel like, of course, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but part of what I'm hearing is like success for you is also being able to make a difference and empower people and empower a community. Like that's a part of it all for you. Like it's
For sure.
It's interesting to hear you speak because it's like, yes, of course you need to make an income. And of course that's important and part of success, but like almost equally as important is this, it's almost like the yin and yang of it. Like it's, it's like you gotta, great, make money, but now let's like use that as a way to empower and to make change. And yeah, of course you still need to make your own money, but like, let's now figure out how to like use that to, ignite other things in the community. And again, I can't help but use the word empower people because you really are empowering people. It's really such good stuff, Pete.
No,
Yeah.
100%. And what's really cool too, because now I feel kind of like partially responsible for this wage creep, right? That everybody's like kind of bitching about. Like, and I'm part of Denver restaurant community, so like I have to hear, how it's really hard on businesses. But like, what's the flip side, right? What's the flip side? And I absolutely get that, and so I feel obligated to actually prove it out, right? And with technology and things, can we make it sustainable and profitable? But like again, also I think in America we've gotten in the last 40 years. I'm sorry, I'm not. People can figure out what happened 40 years ago, but like I think we got okay with, or maybe we got an expectation that returns need to be outsized, and I just don't think that's normal. And
yes,
the guy, the New York Times reporter, is doing a book on a lot of this, and I've been talking about our wage stuff. But I think it's like, again, just the cost of living's gotten really high, right? And so like people are expecting 10% returns on your house every year. Like that's not sustainable. And that's caused a lot of this stuff. So I'm not going to go into that, but like I think that we can. So there's an expectation game, like so. But I think my point is what I need to do now and what I was hoping to do sort of 2019 into COVID is with the wage piece to actually study and do the work in my business to really show a game plan on how it can be done and still be profitable. COVID shook everything up for better, for a lot, mostly for the better, honestly. Like it sucks. I mean, for my business, as far as just rethinking things, it was a terrible time, and a lot of people it was just really hard. But like now, can I take in? Can I study the business, or can we build the business in such a way that, yes, that the pay is sustainable without having to jack wages up by using technology and just intellect and inspiration of empowering people to be great at what they do and to engage with one another to be more effective using certain things. So now I'm like really fired up around just that challenge and opportunity, right? And I feel kind of because I'm not, but I feel like we were part of what pushed this, and everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I was like a bad guy in the industry for a while, but
well, okay, suits the name.
yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like, it's just like, why do we have to do this? Like,
I mean,
like,
it goes
it's
back to the
bullshit.
reason why you named the restaurant after your dad, because you think outside the box. You do things differently.
And my
and
dad,
you make
like,
change.
again, like, just had mad respect for everyone. So he'd be like, this isn't fair, right? And I think that's kind of it. Like, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's incredible.
Did I take us off the rails there?
No, we're good. This is all what this is all about. So but bringing us now, I don't know how deep into COVID we want to go or you want to go, but I know that obviously, restaurants, and I can't imagine, Pete, at that point, you had how many locations when COVID struck?
12.
I just can't imagine what it must have felt like. Personally, like you as a person, as a human being, and you had kids at this point, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. So, but
Heavy.
I'll also say, COVID, in talking about the family and my bio and things I'm proud about, I'm proud of having just an awesome family, like, and great kids. But I think COVID actually, while it was so dark and so scary, and like I was at one of my darkest points of my life ever, besides like maybe losing my dad or something, it really brought, I think a lot of people would say that the silver lining is brought people home and together.
Yeah.
So that got me kind of, because I would say too, in the late teens, I was working hard, but I was like drinking kind of a lot, and like in the whole like fun part of people, like the whole
right.
That wasn't sustained. So again, like I kind of like it brought me like everything stops, the world stopped, right? And so everybody had to kind of, everybody had a different experience. Obviously, I've repeated this multiple times. And actually, I just read Warren Buffett say this, like he's the, because he's retiring, stepping back, but he said he's a white guy, born in whatever, but like acknowledging that I'm a white guy in Colorado, a white male in Colorado, like I can't imagine what other people were dealing with. So I just want to acknowledge my privilege there, but employing people in a public facing business was just scary because help, and in fact we shut down on the 16th of March. And everybody went on unemployment, including myself. Like I was just so nervous or scared about people getting hurt. So yes, it was tough. So, and then we like our home office at that point, I think was 12 people, and it went down to me and Craig, who was our
meaning like you were the only ones working or only ones. Yeah.
Like basically working. And then we had an ops guy that was kind of helping too. But it was just like really bleak. It sucked.
And did you guys go through the phase of like Cloroxing packages and
totally
that whole thing, right? Craziness?
And it went like digital overnight, like which we were kind of planning for. It was coming, right? The digital ordering, but I had to do it overnight. Yeah, it sucked. We were making up all the rules. Like there wasn't clear guidance. Remember this? Like
yes,
and
of
then
course.
you see like, and I just lean so far into safety, and this is important for this conversation because it's the tail of COVID is long, and even my mental psyche, my mental my mindset, which is important to success, was like very conservative, like which I'm not, but I just wanted to keep people safe. But then that bled into other things, and I was kind of maybe hamstringing our business too long. So that's important I'll touch on that a little bit, but I was just like, man, let's do everything to keep people safe. Everything. Like, and we were by legislation, we were forced to compress our hours, right? Because we used to be open late night and all that. And that's kind of put us on the map in Boulder. Like people with drunk kids would come get to know us. It's a cool way to get to know you.
Yeah.
But we stopped all that because we had to, but we never opened it back up, Marion. So like it kind of changed our business because
interesting.
Because our teams were so stressed, I didn't want to add extra stress, and that kept going. But a couple things, government worked for us. Like I'm sure there was fraud and everything, but like government worked. That the one thing I want to say is it's pretty cool, like PPP and everything else, and
Yeah.
even just like the stimulus for people. Like, yes, it wasn't perfect by any means, but I want to say that helped us very significantly. That was our 25th anniversary, so going into, you know, like planning, celebrating 25 years to like literally, oh shit, are we gonna make it? Was fucking brutal. But then once you got past the safety piece, yeah, okay, people aren't gonna die. Let's hope not, right? Our team and our
Right.
communities, and then just like the humility of you think you know how the world works, and then it stops and you just fucking don't, was pretty awesome. I mean, I would say that's a gift for me, and again, that's coming from a place of privilege, right? White male in Colorado, like Jesus Christ, I'm like the most privileged person in the world, but like humbling, like, oh man, I don't know shit, which is kind of cool, man. Like, okay, everybody's safe. You lean into your values, like, and that's it, right? So you got to be super clear about your values, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. What are we doing? Let's keep people safe. Let's like was driving my decision making. Um, but then I'm kind of like, again, people say and hopefully this is true, one time in 100 years where the world stops and you can actually like work on your business in a really unique way that hopefully we don't have again because no one wants to see another pandemic. But I'm
Right.
kind of like, again, totally humble, what works, what doesn't, um, rethinking things like, and just learning lessons every day. So that's why I tell people, and I've told you this, I'm more excited about my business than I've been forever, just because I was like, oh, shit, we can rethink all of this. And man, we have a ton of opportunity to sort of to do really cool things that are informed by values. And Marion, I want to say one thing too. December 30th of 2021,
Okay.
when Boulder burned down, you probably don't
Yeah.
remember this, but there was wildfires
Yeah. No,
that
I
ended.
remember.
Well, yeah, I mean, but again, you're dealing with your life. But yeah, it was a pretty national
No,
thing.
but yeah. Yeah.
Now, dude, December 30th. Sorry, I know you pay attention to the world news.
Well,
Um,
especially
but I
Boulder.
was like, what the fuck is going on, man? December 30th, like Boulder, dude, there's a
Right.
wildfire that destroys 1,100 homes. So like, I even went down. That was my next step of like this in total path of innovation, like of sustainability and like changing our equipment set to be able to be fully electrified, which is a big deal. Oh, man, I didn't even talk about that.
Oh.
But yeah, like so we're like to a point where I'm just kind of like, so then I start researching that, like, man, we as an industry contribute a lot to this, man. You got waste, you have resource use, like that's pretty funny. But yeah, so like that was that's been the recent path in the last
Uh-huh.
3 years is kind of rethinking our our business from that perspective and how can you be cleaner, safer, better, right? Which has become sort of the mantra just organically.
Uh-huh.
But I've like rethought, how can the industry dial in its, you know, and be just more aware and more efficient because we do play a lot. We play a role of influence where we could, if you change the mindset and the perspective, which, kind of like on wages, can we all figure it out together, right? So,
Yeah.
so I just want to say that COVID, and on the heels of COVID, 1 year and a half, like Boulder burned down and like all this other stuff. I'm like, man, something's going on. Like this is crazy. So I really thought about our consumption. Shit,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we even talked about this, and then so I've changed I've gotten really clinical or scientific about just even square inches and what we're moving and how like the amount of consumption, what our inputs are, which is pretty cool. It's led to a place where we've got a system that can be completely electrified, which is neat. And in fact, it's on pause right now, but we developed, and it's ambitious, but we developed our first ground up prototype, that we're calling the Sun Machine. That was like, it's got no rooftop units, and the entire roof is at 26 degrees, and it's one big photovoltaic that'll generate all the electricity to run the restaurant.
What?
But yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty cool. But that's been shelved. It's in with the city of Denver, and they were gonna help out. But like,
Okay.
we're kind of waiting for like it's. So some of this too is privilege, right? We had so financially, you know, it's an investment, like the wage thing. And
Well,
so there's
I mean,
privilege there.
if I may,
We're in a privileged place to be able to make these decisions.
I want to kick back a little bit on that. Sorry. Because you created that. I mean, this is a business that you've built, and a lot of people in your position would just, you know, pocket it and continue making more locations and taping something up in the window and giving 1% of their, you know, profit to whatever organization. So sure, it's privilege, but it's you built this. This is like not something that you just stepped into, and you are making change. Like I just wanted to say, like, I appreciate you saying that, but I also think it's more than just like privilege. This is something that you have built, and you and your team have built. And instead of just being like, all right, we're good, let's just open more locations and I'm going to go to Turks and Caicos now. Come on, kids, let's go. You continue to reinvent how business is being done, and you're doing it thoughtfully, considering, you know, community, environment, consumption, all that. It's really cool, man. And like, it's just like, shout out to you. Yeah. Just like, I still want to sort of like hand it off to, yeah, we're privileged, but are you privileged? I mean, yes, but it's not for nothing. Like, this is, you built it to get to this point, to be able to do it. You gave yourself the privilege. Let's help. Like, there's that too.
I would say that.
You created this.
True.
Very inspiring.
And yeah. Thank you.
Well, wait, but okay, so thank you for all this. And then, like, okay, so COVID, you had 12 locations going in, cut back on the hours of operation because you had to. And you said, I love how you put that, the COVID tail is long. How long did you stay within those restrictions? I mean, I'm sure they started weaning off, like you're not still wearing masks and all.
Well, and just quickly, let me just touch on that part too, right?
Yeah.
Like, and man, COVID, what a bummer that it brought out the best of people and then the worst of people, right? I just want to say that, like,
yeah,
you know, we're just trying to be
so true.
We're trying to be so safe and trying to be like, follow the rules, whatever rules they are, even making up our own rules just because leaning on values, let's try to be safe. But like, even just like, people are so mean to each other. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to like, so again, that was really psychologically damaging, not only like to me and our team, right? That was hard. But how long did we stay? So we dialed back our late night, and man, we haven't added it back in 4 years, and that was a big part of our business. You remember that, right? And that, so yeah, again,
of course,
that's on me. And I'm like, it's funny. I'm like realizing this in a very real aha way in the last 6 weeks. Like, what? Like, that's not a good thing. Like, you can kind of get over. I mean, obviously, this happens all the time. You can get over a conservative, right? I'm like,
right,
trying to protect people, but like, is it anyway? So
right,
I look back, but now I'm kind of like, damn, that's not who we are, right? So even like talking about like just the spirit of Pete's, like, and I will tell you, the last 1 year we opened, we had. So you asked, like, COVID hit, we were under construction at one store, which was really hard because COVID then hits, and now we go back to knowing. And I'm like meeting the GC out there. Like, everybody's coming back. Like, oh, it was terrible. And then, in fact, we moved our downtown Denver store. We signed the lease pre-COVID, and then we moved into a bigger spot because we needed more space after COVID. And downtown Denver went from our number one store to our last store, just because no one's downtown, right? Or I don't know.
Right, because that's just, I'm imagining like New York. Yeah,
people were like,
that's where people work.
People were
right.
People were in the Hamptons. But no, people were like, remote.
I'm just asking because I'm curious. Like, I just have no idea. In New York and Manhattan, we did sidewalk dining, a lot of, so parking spaces are now, right? And we're actually still kind of weaning off that in the city.
Well, did you like it or not?
I liked it during COVID. it's kind of, the issue around it was that there was no regulations. There was no, so it got, I hate to say this because I just want people to be able to do business and I want to support businesses. Totally. But some of these outside dining areas, unfortunately, were really gross and it became like shelters. Totally. And it was, so that was tough because you're like, it's your neighborhood and like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But for some, it was like they invested in these beautiful outdoor, dining experiences. So it was pretty cool in that regard.
Yeah. So you did that. We had to, you had to do anything you could to just survive. Right. So we got all the picnic tables, and we've got remnants of that. Right. Like, so, which was actually pretty cool, man. So like our North Side restaurant, North Denver, for example, we moved out in the parking lot and did this, which still exists, right? This cool dining area. Like, so, we did all of that.
That's cool.
And, but what we didn't do is then have a set plan to add the other part back. Like we lost like everything I said at the beginning, how we grew and listened to our guests and just listened to our spirit of just like celebrating community, arts, anything, when people come in, we say, yes, like, let's do the school event. Let's do this. That we're still doing some of that, but the events part and just leaning into that gathering and community, like we hadn't turned that back on. And in fact, we're just doing that now in Tucson, Arizona. We were, and this is going to sound weird potentially, but we were like College Bar of the Year in 2019 in Tucson, which is U of A, like 45,000 students, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
It's such a cool building and it's awesome, but like it's a 120-year-old National Historic Landmark building that's a block off of campus. It's so cool, but we like turned it off, right? Because I was too nervous about protecting people and like stress. But I'm kind of like, man, so it's funny, man. I totally forgot like what makes Pete's special, right? And that is a place to gather, to get to know one another, to discover, to get fed and nourished, obviously, but to feed bands, to do this, right? And then that drives success, right? And that drives like even just, experience and buy-in from your which we recently did some vision, mission, values rework for recently coming out of COVID, and was accidentally written down as stokeholders instead of stakeholders, but we're going to stick with it. But so our stokeholders, our guests, our community, our crew, right? Like give them that reason to believe, right? Sure, it's a burrito restaurant, but like it does all these other things, So let's do that. That's why we're in business, and that's how we succeed, right? And that's how we can continue to pay people, great wages, and that's how we can continue to, again, like be these amenities in our community. That's how we can continue to hopefully influence in equipment and builds and show how it can be done. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, and that's maybe why we don't talk about it as much, because I get a little shy about that. But
it is interesting, though. I think that there's a piece too, the fact that you came back slowly to sort of opening up, doing events again. And I think there's something that's important there, which is like, I hear you that like, I was overly cautious, I was being overly protective, but maybe that's part of the magic of the relationship you have with your clients and your employees, is they trust you because you are that, because you didn't just, ironically, you're called Illegal Pete's. So you would expect a place like Illegal Pete's to be like,
flaunt the rules.
This, we're staying up all night, you can't close us, which, to be honest, I want to be clear though, there were businesses that did that, and I have respect for that too. Okay, so I do.
No, I get it.
But like, I think where you're coming from, which I think is really interesting, I just don't want to gloss over it because I think it's important. Like the fact that you were so thoughtful about it, I think is what is a part of your, hate to use this word, but your brand.
No, brand.
It really is,
Once you can lean into brand and not make it about like, it's right. It's not a dirty word. So thank you.
So it's like, you do these crazy events.
It's important if it's like, if your brand is anchored on solid, honest values, then it's not.
Exactly.
So thank you for saying that. But like, I've gotten it. All right.
Yeah. So I think that's a part of this is like, sure, you do things outside the box, but you do them thoughtfully, carefully, with intention. And, and it's funny knowing you personally. I know that to be the truth. And I know that because you have people in your circle who aren't that way too. So I've actually can remember from way back when, clear the cobwebs, like I just remember you being that person who could acknowledge the crazy, but you were always very thoughtful. I hope this is coming out the right way, because I'm going a little personal here, but it's cool. It's cool to hear that come through in your business.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, I took you off track again.
That is so, it is ironic because like that is, I guess, the thoughtful piece that maybe comes from my dad, right? Like,
yes.
And there was the party, it could have gone that way.
Yeah.
Like flout, but truly, it was just about like, man, let's keep people safe and not stressed out. And like, but it was, that's cool. Thank you for looking at it that way. But yeah, so now I'm kind of like, okay. But all of this is part of, getting back to like that core of celebration of what we do, why we do it, and how we can do it where other people like our key competition, they're not built for it. They don't want to do that. So like, let's take advantage of it. Let's get back to doing that, but let's do it in a really thoughtful way too. Again, where I was saying like, can you quantify, the benefit to your community? Like how much are we investing in local bands and DJs and comedians and this? So you can kind of like talk about that. And so your stakeholders kind of understand, right? That there's some method to it. And yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Good stuff. So stakeholders is so good. So where are you now? So coming out of COVID, you're starting to come back, and now where are we now? 2025. So yeah,
that's where I want to go back. Okay, sorry, I got distracted.
No,
that's what I do. But it's all of a piece. And last year, so we had stores that were kind of stacked up because of COVID and supply chain and everything else. So, but last year we opened 3 brand new restaurants, and we did a full remodel of our Denver University restaurant in the space. So 4 basic new restaurants, space of 5 months, from February to July of last year. So that was really difficult. And we'll never do that again, hopefully. But so that was really challenging. And at the same time, and we sort of like lost vision on, like, we just kind of lost control of some of the operations. It's just a lot of moving parts when you're hiring 200 plus people, you're training, everything else. So we sort of like, we got a little loot, like our financials got a little, we lost labor and we just got a little loose, right? We learned a lot. But then at the same time, what you're seeing with a lot of people in our industry, the last year, the economy's been kind of weird, right? You're seeing it catch up with like Chipotle, Cava, all these people, right? We were living that sort of started about last summer, and where the economy, like our P&L or our pro forma last year got completely blown up. We were at, we were projecting positive, not double digit, but good, right? And then it flipped negative, like almost like overnight. It felt like COVID. And so last year was really challenging, and that's where it just got really, really challenging. Like our again, our numbers were bad. Like our banks, like what's going on, and it got really challenging. And that kind of actually was part of the reason I wanted to get back in and just live it. When I said I went through to be GM, I'm like, what am I missing here? Like, what opportunities are there? Because we did a lot, Merritt, like I was saying, we did a lot of innovation in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We have in the last 2 years. And we're doing some things that we're probably the only the only restaurant on the planet that's doing. But I didn't like actually live it. So I had to get back there and live it and say I have a really smart team, but live it and say, okay, this is how we best do it. And I realized, I wasn't clear enough, I think, with my team around the vision and what I think this will do for us and how we implement these new tools and technology, just because I didn't really even know. I could see far enough what it was capable of, but like the steps to get there, man, there's been tons of really interesting iteration and innovation that we've done to get there. So I had to live that. And so it's been slowly the last year kind of digging out of this, like, tough economic environment, and I feel like we're starting to pull up, and the other, like, it hit us earlier maybe, or maybe just company, like, maybe, I don't know, but anyway, like, I feel like we're kind of like coming out while other people are like really getting affected right now. The economy is just weird, right? And tariff or whatever, it's so unpredictable, and no one can, you can't, it's so shaky, right? You can't really forecast the future. But Mary, I will also say, like, coming out of that, like, head down, working hard, like, actually, and then working the business, like running DU and working the line was super fun, because, like, I'm 54, but, like, I was 53 in the spring. But, like, that also, like, is it still the business of connecting with people? I'm like, has it changed? Because COVID changed communication for a lot of people. I mean, Zoom, but even just how people interpersonally communicate, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, has that changed? But it's not. But, like, I'm like serving people. I'm like, hey, what are you guys getting up to? They're like, I don't know, old man. Like, I'm sure, like, whatever, dude. But I was just like trying to have it's still really fun. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, let's just, so kind of like relearning this stuff. I'm like, man, again, in the last like 6 weeks, like, what are we doing? Like, okay, we can't just lay down. Let me just say something too. Okay, people are drinking less. And again, around the conversation of my dad, in sobriety, like, I'm drinking way less. Like, I get it. Having a bar is tricky, right? And we contribute to, whatever. I'm not gonna, but can people drink less? Can they drink in a more, again, so I'm acknowledging all of this, and I've made a lot of changes in my business the last 4 or 5 years, of just because it's, and restaurants and bars are party businesses, but we dialed all of that back, right? Just because I realized even like, shift drinks, right? If you're working 5 days a week, that means we're asking them to drink 5 days a week. That's not cool. Like, what are we doing, man? So anyway, but there is an opportunity, and some people are still drinking, and it is, you can go to the bar and not drink. Still a cool place to gather. Like, let's fucking do it. Like, so again, so I'm just like, we're seeing our liquor sales go down by 25%. I'm like, and like, well, people are drinking less. I'm like, okay, but we can't just roll over. Let's just do, like, I'm just kind of like, what have I been doing? Like, let's go get it. Let's just go have fun. Right. They don't need to drink, but they can come hang out. Like, what are we doing? So, Marion, I'm just trying to express. I was just in this weird mindset of like, ugh.
Yes.
Which was maybe COVID driven, and just like, but I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm coming out of it and being like, okay, higher level. Yes, you need to be responsible, and yes, you're going to care for people, and like trusting yourself, but also understanding what your business is, and success. Yes, that brings the sales, but it also brings like vibe and psych and pumped up stockholders, right? And like, oh man, I just went off.
Yeah, it's cool too. No, it's great, because what's cool is like, I see it in New York. I can't speak nationally, but I see it in New York. There's definitely a trend to like these sort of like non-alcoholic gatherings and mocktails. I see a lot of like mocktails everywhere, and like, so it's definitely become a thing. And what I find most interesting about what you're saying is that because you got in there and you're like in the business and you're feeling a part of it again, in a way. Of course, you've always been a part of it, but you're feeling a part of it in like the core of it again, right? And it's like, you could say, well, we have to be wary. The trend is showing that alcohol sales are going down. So how are we going to respond to that? But you don't function that way. You're more like, hey man, like, we're not selling as much alcohol. So what are we going to do? Because instead of sitting here and just like forecasting, waiting for the market to change or whatever, let's just take care of our customers. Let's give them something else. Let's give them or more of something that we're already doing. That, right. So cool. It's just like, it's interesting because I just recently had an episode where I was talking to this like very successful wealth manager, and it's like the same thing. Like, it's just all about taking care of your customers and your community. Like, it really is. All business comes down to that. And, to hear your journey through that, and how, like, to think that you, all these years later, what feels like was so almost calming for you was just to get back into the trenches and just essentially work in the kitchen again. Like, how genius is that?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
real funny. Just started it like getting back to washing dishes, and even like getting quickly, and then we'll move on. But structure to even how we just rolled out a structure on how we set up our dish line for the first time in 30 years. But like even thinking through the best way to do it, just organize.
Yeah.
We can save time and just brain damage, right? So that's how you can like get better in a rising cost environment. Like just make it cleaner, safer, better for these people, and then it all stacks up, right? It's geometric bounds.
Right.
But yeah, it's
so
fun.
Good.
It's so fun.
So good. So, okay. I mean, this is incredible. And like one thing we haven't really talked about too much, but we don't need to do, it's whatever you're comfortable with, but like through this all, you've been a husband and father.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know that clearly there are times where you've been more deeply involved than others and whatnot. And like, how do you handle that? How do you kind of like,
man,
I don't, you know, it's so cliche to be like, how do you balance it all? Because it's clearly not balanced. It's
such an important question. It's the question, right? Like, and it's the question even for Marion. A really important part of why I went through GM training again and lived the life is, and just so we know now too, like the younger generation it's life work balance, right? They flip it.
Yeah.
Is that corny?
Thanks for pointing that out.
But it work life, I mean, truly, they flipped it, right? Which is cool, man. Because like, so I wanted to understand the life work balance or work life balance of just the GMs, because I'm like, over time, like we're in a restaurant business, and our key, you know, tip for the most part, we're, you know, Friday nights, Saturday, like those are busy periods. So you, as the general manager of that restaurant, you want to really know that either you want to be there all the time, or like, you know, consistently experience that, right? So, but you know, we you know, say 2 days off a week and whatever, because we're not trying to get the cliche 60 hours a week from our managers.
Right.
We say 45, which is still 5 hours over 40, but anyway, like, can you make your life work with a family and still work? Like if you need to be there on a Friday night, and if you need to be there, and I was like, man, I got to live that to say, like, can you? And you know, you can, but that's the business, man. And it's not changing, right? Like you need to be there. And there are some people that maybe some people aren't cut out for that. Like,
right.
But that's just the business. So I had to live that, Marion, to like, be like, can I do this? And like with my family, like Tara was super supportive. My kids are super supportive. They would come in for dinner when I'm working the nights, like, and it was fun. Like, I'm like,
that's
okay,
awesome.
but that is the business. And so that hasn't changed. So that was a really important part to learn myself. But yeah, as I was, you know, you rise up and you're kind of like, okay, does it become a 9 to 5? Well, maybe a little bit. And then pre-COVID, like I was saying, I think I got into like when we were doing tons of events and all, like, man, we're doing like all these things, like all these fun things, like, you know, whatever, freaking, you know, comedy, you know, all these, we're sponsoring all this stuff. I like got caught up in that bullshit and like I don't think it was a good father or husband there for a minute. Like, and, you know, I was just not around as much as I would like to have been, sort of probably last couple of years before COVID. But, you know, and I was just, anyway, so you can, in my business, but in any business, you can get caught up in that, right? Like, you know, and some of that's important, but it's not really, you're still, you know, the social part. So how do I do it now? I'm, again, very fortunate that, like, you know, to just say, learn those lessons out of COVID, like, and really, I'm still working really, really hard. I'm working really hard. Like the last year and a half, man, it was like kind of like 7 days a week, you know, because I was like GM, or let's say for sure, like January through like June, I was GM for 5 days a week and then CEO for 2 days a week. So,
right.
But actually got a week off for spring break. That was pretty awesome. But
awesome.
But my family was really supportive. And
Yeah, it's
that
interesting.
was a choice I took. But again, to live through, okay, so these days, you just coordinate with your family and try to like be there when you can. So I'm able to do it, especially even in a really high work environment. I was here, as much as I could be for my family and my kids. And, it's been, so that has just been really, really cool too, knowing and understanding, like being so committed and passionate again, like reignited for my business, but then equally so with my family and
Yeah.
just knowing that again, you can figure it out.
Yeah. It's cool. I just had this thought while you were saying this just now. Like in the beginning, it took your one piece of starting your business and taking the leap. One important piece of it was having somebody believe in you, which at that time was your dad. And now to keep it going, it's like you've got your wife and of course your daughters who believe in you. And it feels like that's such an important piece of all of this, and obviously
So
if you didn't have your wife and your kids, you'd, but you do. And
That's so
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So awesome.
So it's nice that it's beautiful that you guys do that.
That's so neat. Yeah. I mean, thank you. And that's exactly true. Um, yeah, I mean, I reflected like, yeah, but trying to like, but again, like even just quickly, analogous to starting a business, like, yeah, I just figured out like, my dad was there as sort of moral support, someone who believed in me, but I'm kind of like, I'm sort of, I'm learning, I'm getting better at being a husband and a parent. Again, there's other tools out there to help you get better. I need to, anyway, it's
Of
good.
course.
I'm
That's why
definitely not perfect. And I'm kind of like, man, I wish, what was I like when I was a kid? What were my parents like? And I don't have like, I'm a little bit estranged from my mom and have been for a while. And so like, I don't have my dad, I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
So whatever, not to get into that. I think I'm doing okay though. Now.
I'm sure that you are. I'm sure that you are. Just the fact that you're thoughtful about it is a step in the right direction. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's so important and it's so much fun. And now they're getting, 9 and 11. It's getting really fun. I mean, it's been
it's the
the whole
best.
time.
The best. No, but I know every age is different, and it really is. It's so much fun. Okay, but back to you and Legal Pete's. I mean, this is just amazing, Pete, and like you've shared so much. Like there's so much in this, and I love this your whole journey. And it's so interesting to me, it's especially special since I can remember what it was like, and I remember like Captain Weirdbeard. And
do you
like the crew.
Dude, do you remember that summer? Remember the summer, the day one? Like, remember how crazy, like, your journey? Remember, like, like, pressing, like Matt Stone rolling through? Remember, like...
yes. And, like, I remember just, the line out the door.
Yeah.
I mean, line out the door and then having to explain to people, like, guacamole was extra.
Yeah.
And just all that good stuff. And, like, to hear that what's especially... really special for me is to hear through all of this, all of the growth and all of the challenges, COVID, all of it, you have kept that essence. And like, it's really what's especially empowering and powerful, I should say, about your story. And I hope that people really hear, because I actually wrote it down on a piece of paper, like, because I was going to ask you about it, but you ended up talking about it anyway, is how you were able to that essence of what it is. Like the moment that maybe you got away from it, you figured out how to bring it back, and you're still figuring out, what it is exactly and how to bring it back and how to do it in a thoughtful way. And it's just it's so cool to me because this is something that you have done 100% from your heart, and, you just haven't stopped. Like 30 years later, you're still doing it from your heart. And like, that's really special, Pete. You know, it's like, you can't, that's why, and I didn't mean like to give a dig to business school. Obviously my son's in business school and my daughter's majoring in business. That's all awesome. But at the end of the day, whether or not you're in business school it's like, if you have the heart,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, it's like, that's amazing. You have the heart and business school, great.
Well,
have the heart
take advantage of your resources, I guess I would say, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you have business, hell yeah. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just use your resources. I try to tell my team, and like, I'm just saying too, there's so many resources now too that like make it, again, like, you're like, podcast, it's so cool you're doing what you're doing. You're doing great. Like, but man, it's just, it's cool.
Well, speaking of, okay, so here we are at this moment after you shared so much, and I have to ask you the burning question. How do you, Pete, define success?
I define success as being able to influence people in a positive way and make change. I said something recently, like connecting with people to influence and inspire and make change in your friendships, in your family, in your community, I think to me is extremely success. Like, that defines success, right? And we as human beings moving a group forward, to me, is successful, right? Like, so it's not about money. And I recently said connection equals direction, right? Like, so like, if you can connect with someone and inspire, like, for the right reasons, and it goes both ways, but if your values are correct, then you can make a lot of positive impact. And that, to me, I think is success. To add value to other people's lives.
Yeah. Bam. Good stuff.
Like connecting
so
people.
Great.
Like, even like, man, you got to meet this person, and you don't even know what's going on, but you kind of do. You do. Like, you know how things work, right, in life when it's cool. Like, and the older you get, you see more of that, like synchronicity or whatever, but you're like, okay, I know I'm going to do this. And now it's kind of almost even like I'm getting really like silly and mischievous about like that. Like, just doing weird little things and seeing where it spins off to. Like, I recently, this is all right. And you can, oh, did I send this to you? You can like edit it out. But I was like, man, I'm trying to figure out this like piece of equipment from this blast chiller, right? And I'm like, man, those are so expensive. I'm going to buy this like Chinese one from like Amazon or something. Anyway, but I'm like, this will be whatever. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to dig in. But so I'm like, okay, I can't figure this out. And I end up on this email chain with this engineer, right? Maybe the sales guy. I just call up the freaking factory in China, or I email them. And I'm like, and it's been so fun, man. I'm like, so I'm hitting up this guy's like, no, you're not following the directions. And I'm like, and then we kind of like break through. I'm like, whoa. And so I'm kind of like, what's going to happen? Like, something cool is going to happen down the road. Either it's going to be super fun. This guy's going to be like, but something cool is going to happen. I'm like, oh yeah, dude. And then and then it actually ended. Maren, you'll probably cut this out. Did I tell you this?
Please go.
Where I finally I'm like, I like a buddy. I'm like, I got to say it. Like, when you were kids, when we were digging, my parents would always say, are you digging to China? And so I asked them, when you were a kid and you were digging, did they say you're going to dig to America? But, which is like, I'm sure these people in China are like, what the fuck is this person? But like, these weird little things, like, can you add a little bit of like,
love it,
like curiosity? That's a weird example, but like, it's
a great example.
Kind of inspire like people like in our business even to be like, yeah, man, like, you can connect. Like, our whole point is breaking down this counter and connect with your guest, right? Like, make relationships, right? I think that is success, because then, if it's done with the right direction, you're really lifting people up. But can also, and that's what's powerful about just human beings and emotion and influence, right? Because it can be really negative too. But that is successful to me.
That's beautiful, Pete, and that's awesome. And like, I by the way, I love that story because it's really like at the nature of it all. It's just like deepening connections whenever possible. And you could have just been some jerk that's just like, tell me how to make this work, and instead you broke through sort of that fourth wall of communications with a customer service representative in China, and it's amazing. And I think that's really a key to all of this, is that natural born curiosity, and hearing you leaning into it even more in this next phase of things is super inspiring.
And I think I'm old enough, Marina, not to care and like share that.
Yeah.
I can actually lean into it because I know while it may be almost insane. I was like, I told Tara, I'm like, am I insane? Did I just do this? Does this make me crazy? Like, I don't really care. And I'm sharing it like kind of with the team to show like, you can just connect, right? Like you can do things that are maybe unexpected, right? And that's good.
Yeah.
Like,
that's good. Really good. Pete, this has been so awesome. Thank you. I know you are so busy, and I think you're in Tucson right now, right?
No, I leave Sunday. I was going to go down.
Okay.
But my buddy, Sunday. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just like, you making this time is so meaningful, and this was awesome. I'm so psyched to listen to this episode. Thank you so much for doing this, Pete.
No, thank you so much. I'm really honored to have been asked and to be part of it, and really excited for you. I'm
so good. Good stuff.
Like, you're really good, and it's cool it's just really neat. It's special to be part of it. So thank you.
Thank you, and I can't wait to come back and
Room Raider 10.
Can't wait.
Your room is awesome. Sorry, COVID speak.
Thank you. Okay. On that note, bye, Pete. Thank you so much.
See you. Thanks, man.
All right, bye.